Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mitch McConnell. After 4 years of investigating Trump, we're now going to blame him for losing the Senate. That's the logic. Oh, I don't have my McConnell. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. This is going to be a quick segment. I just don't have my Mitch McConnell impersonation tonight. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. There's not much to talk about that we haven't already talked about the past couple of days. I'm sure tomorrow will be a little bit more exciting. But you have Mitch McConnell in the news. And you can hear me, sorry about the buffering. But he's being cited as blaming Trump for losing the Senate, blaming Trump for losing the presidency, blaming Trump's personality. They investigated a Republican president for 4 years. Okay, Democrats would never do that. Democrats would never in a million years do that. So they investigated a Republican president, and they then blame Trump. It's like, well, you believed nonsense from intel operatives that were obviously partisan. They weren't apolitical, nonpartisan actors. McConnell is caught in between the never-Trumpers and Trump. And because he hasn't taken a side, it would be actually better if he was overtly against Trump. It would be better for the country, actually, and for Trump, because we would know where he stood. And everybody who's against Trump going into 2022 will be primaried out. Almost everybody. 2022, the House of House of Representatives is going Republican, okay? You're going to have a completely new paradigm in American politics. You'll have a political party that actually fights back. Republicans and Democrats did everything possible to stifle Trump. And we still had, oh, you could see that? Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue. You know what? I just popped up for no reason. I have no clue. It's really bizarre. Well, Republicans and Democrats, the mosquito, maybe. You know what? It's like, can you? I can't see it from here, but I guess you can see it. Let me see if it can. 2 brain cells. Hello. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. It just literally just popped up like a half hour ago, and I have no clue why. I think I'm becoming like Biden. Heaven forbid. But what's taking place is that we have, let me see. We have, I can't look at, I'm looking at my camera, so I can't look at, okay, so hold on one second. Huh. I can't see from Tammy, hello. Thank you. 2 brain cells. Thank you. All right, well. What they did. So to my super chat, thank you. I can't do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll keep this short. But ladies and gentlemen, Mitch McConnell is now being quoted in books, blaming Trump. Donald Trump spewed expletives at Mitch McConnell in their final conversation. Don't speak to me that way. Mr. President, how dare you speak to Mr. McConnell in such a profane manner? I will not be subject or privy to blasphemy and profane words. You, Trump. I don't have it tonight. I just don't have it tonight. McConnell joked about Tillerson calling Trump a, expletive. It's really funny. So the book says Donald Trump spewed expletives at Mitch McConnell, and then another article right next to it says McConnell joked about expletives being leveled at Trump. I mean, it's just gossip and hearsay. Do they have anything substantive? They have only gossip and hearsay. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe it. The Orange Menace would talk to me in such a way. Trump, this republic is better off without you. Of course, I won't tell you my voters that. You will not speak to Mitch McConnell. A McConnell name in Kentucky is revered and admired by so many. You will not address me as a turtle from the lower regions of Hades. Oh, I don't know. I'm like losing it now. I have nothing. Basically, Mitch McConnell is yet again working against President Trump and blaming him. See, the problem is that you had McConnell while there was negotiation over the stimulus payments, trying to negotiate down. So you had McConnell trying to negotiate down in terms of stimulus payments. It makes no sense at all. It makes absolutely no sense at all. And you then have people blaming Trump. You have Republicans blaming Trump after years of investigating Republicans. Richard Burr in the Senate Republican Senate Intelligence Committee, the ranking, the Intel, the head of the Intel Committee, confirming an assessment that Russia tried to interfere in the election. Oh, my goodness. And then they say, oh, how dare Trump, how dare he not accept results? Like, well, you didn't accept Trump's victory in 2016. You didn't accept any of it. So it's like, what do you expect? They didn't accept any. They investigated Trump. Republicans investigated Trump, and it's like, what do you expect? You had President Obama's intel chiefs investigating an incoming Republican president, with Republicans investigating that president also. Paul Ryan was the House Speaker of the House for 2 years. From all of 2017 to the end of 2018, he did nothing to protect Trump. Mitch McConnell did nothing to protect Trump. Richard Burr, the Senate Intel chairman, did nothing to protect Trump. McCain was part of spreading the Steele dossier. So, I mean, you had the entire Republican establishment side with President Obama's intelligence agencies. What do you expect? And you have Kinzinger and Cheney and Mitt Romney and the Nebraska senator, which his last name rhymes with a certain body part that, of course, the algorithm will probably get you on. So it's like, you keep on, like, they keep on blaming Trump, but the reality is that they did this to themselves. The reality is they did this to themselves. And 2022 is will be a completely different ballgame. You'll have Republicans in the House of Representatives impeach Biden. That's not without a doubt. There will almost certainly be a terrible stock market crash sometime within the next year, probably by about March or April of next year. And you're going to look at, like, when that market crash takes place, you'll look at, you will look at a completely new paradigm, because people will then say, okay, media is clueless, does not have our interests, they don't have our interests in mind. They're completely blindsided by every catastrophe, every event, from the global health crisis to a stock market crash that's eventually going to take place, to a whole bunch of every single, from Afghanistan, Americans left in Afghanistan, Biden's botched evacuation that should have taken place started in January. It's like you have every single example of incompetence, the smartest people in the room failing to predict a catastrophe, and yet you have this Orwellian type of paradigm that says you have to listen to the experts and the authorities and government. I mean, you have social media that is literally suppressing voices because of government stating that things are misinformation. How on earth is that free speech? Or how on earth, like, you cannot prove that misinformation caused anyone's life to be taken or lost. You can't prove that in a court of law. You can't sue somebody. The federal government can't. The state can't. You can't. I can't sue somebody for alleged misinformation that led to somebody doing something contrary to their own interests. That's not the way life works. That's simply not the way life works. To my super chat, thank you. Can't do this without you. That's simply not the way life works. And, I mean, you have Mitch McConnell, like the Republicans now are like just treading water, like they're just barely keeping their head above water. They're barely surviving politically. And Democrats are so incompetent. They have the House, the Senate, the presidency. They're completely inept. They have the worst policies, the most failed policies. You have Democrats with the most failed policies and a stranglehold on media and the political narrative. And half the country just either yawns or, like, you know, there doesn't even need to be a resistance to Democrats, because almost everything they say, almost everything that Democrats and media say is either a lie by omission or fueled by hysteria and paranoia, or a whole bunch of half-truths presented in the most apoplectic manner. And then you have Republicans, the never-Trumpers, who are petrified of media. They're scared of their own, they're frightened of their own shadow, and they don't have the media narrative, but they're not willing to confront. Like Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney might actually agree with Rand Paul, but they're not going to do anything about it. Democrats walk in lockstep. They're completely obedient to the narrative. They're completely and utterly obedient. Democrats are completely obedient to the Democratic Party. And it's like there's this stalemate now where it's like nails on a chalkboard. You're just like, you're forced to kind of deal with this endless preaching and sermons. You had Trump out of office, so they had a temper tantrum for 4 years. It was the most insane temper tantrum you've ever seen in your life for 4 years. And everything was the end of the world, and it was the most horrible time. And even though we had record low unemployment and an amazing economy, and it's like now you have an economy with, okay, let's look. Jobless claims have increased. There's a labor shortage. How that happens, we don't know. Actually, we do know. You have policies that did nothing to protect people last year, but did end up tanking the economy. So, shutting down the economy when there's a health crisis that affects a certain age group more than anyone else, with a certain number of pre-existing conditions, and yet what you did is you shut down the entire economy and prevented everyone from working. It makes no sense at all. And you didn't get the desired results. You could only say hypothetically, well, lives were saved. You don't know that. You have to say that because the policies were such miserable failures that you have to save face. Let me ask you a question. What have they been right about? From WMD to ignoring the housing bubble and the stock market crash in 2008, to promising that Clinton would win in a landslide, to promising that Trump was a Russian operative. What on earth has the mainstream been right about? And they were completely blindsided by the global health catastrophe. And we couldn't talk about how it started. You certainly can't talk about anything that's not sanctioned. And this is not the country that I grew up in, that you grew up in. This is not, the country has changed in such a way, and it's only because social media allows that to take place. It's not like there's no room for debate in this country because everything is viewed as if it's sanctioned by Democrats and media and never Trumpers go along with it, then you just can't. If you're Rand Paul or anyone else or a world famous singer, you just can't express your viewpoints. And it's interesting because Twitter and Facebook, especially, they serve as gatekeepers for the establishment. Because the establishment narrative, the experts, what is considered to be information or misinformation, that is what's deemed to be relevant information or misinformation goes through Facebook and Twitter. And it is always sanctioned by whatever suits the Democratic Party. You can't have any debate or discussion. The same failed policies, the same economic, health, the same failed policies are implemented, and the same suppression of thought is leveled at society, and we don't have a political party to stand up and say, hey, you know what? Here's an opposing viewpoint. Because all of media, social media, Democrats, Hollywood, they're all leveled, never Trump Republicans, they're all shouting at the top of their lungs and preventing discussion, dialogue, discourse, debate. And that will change in 2022. We just have to wait until 2022. And the whole world, look, we all know what's going on. There's a slow rumbling, they're petrified that Trump is still in the mix, that he's going to run, that he's going to take over the Republican Party. He will he's already taken it over, but he'll officially take it over in 2022. Never Trumpers, more often than not, will be primaried. Unless you have a stranglehold on, Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. There's certain places that a politician's been there forever, okay? And, they're very, very, they have a stranglehold on winning elections in their state or a district. But you look, ladies and gentlemen, and the majority of Never Trumpers will eventually be primaried out. The majority. Okay? The majority will be primaried out. You will have a completely new ballgame. You'll have a completely new ballgame. And that'll be amazing. That'll be absolutely amazing. You'll have a completely new ballgame, and you'll have a situation where you'll actually have a debate in Washington. Because the thing is, you had 4 years of Trump, but in a way, it's almost like we didn't have. Like, we had 4 years of Trump, but media, Democrats, Never Trumpers, which was unfortunately a good percentage of the Republican Party, converged to try to really suppress and turn him into this, suppress what he wanted to do, turn him into this monster, twist and manipulate everything he said in the most apoplectic manner, and conversely, do the opposite with Biden. When they're muting his microphone and like pulling his microphone, and as he's speaking, you just hear like the microphone stops working. You get that, like, nobody talks about it. We have Americans still left in Afghanistan. Nobody talks about it. The Doha Agreement called for us to be out by May 1st. Nobody talks about it. I mean, Fox News does. This channel, of course, does. People on the left do, who are not tied to the Democratic Party. But the mainstream does not. And we're a divided country politically, not because of Trump, not because of people who vote for Trump, because of Democrats who find Trump to be this abomination while they ignore all the abominations under their watch, the atrocities. 10 civilians lost their lives. 10 civilians lost their lives. And you'd think that the left, which was horrified and wanted to resist Trump at every turn, you would think that they would care. But they don't care. They don't care. That's the issue. They don't care. They're hypocrites, Like, they're unbelievable, and the hypocrisy is just unbelievable. But ladies and gentlemen, I am just losing steam. I apologize. This is a pretty short segment. I don't think people got notification for this segment. It's late at night. Get some rest. God bless you. Have a great evening. It is always an honor and a pleasure to speak to everybody here, but I am just running out of steam. I'll be back, of course, tomorrow. I'll try to do an earlier live stream tomorrow by around 5 p.m. So be here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll do an earlier live stream. And so be here at 5 p.m. Pacific, people. And thank you so very much. I will see you tomorrow. Oh, definitely subscribe. Definitely. Luke St. Martin, thank you. Definitely subscribe to H.A. Goodman's, my stock market channel. That'll be below in the description. It's actually, I believe, still in the pinned comment, the description, and it'll be in the pinned comment. Thanks, everybody. Luke, Eric, thank you. I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.